There are many dangerous things about Iran. The top three that come to mind are Iran's nuclear and/or missile ambitions, Iran's regional role, Iran's regional aggression, and Iran's quest for regional hegemony, as well as what's going on within the country, the quest for the Islamic Republic to basically erode the status of Iran and only push for things that are in the interest of the regime as opposed to the interest of the state. The first is the regime's nuclear and missile aspirations. The nuclear program was resurrected during the Iran-Iraq War. Clearly there was a military application for it. Clearly there was a military need for it. Iran kept responding in kind to Saddam's use of ballistic missiles. Iran used the Iran-Iraq War to procure ballistic missiles. In the 1980s, this was a force Iran used to protect itself. In the 2000s, in the current era, this is a force Iran uses to threaten and coerce and punish its neighbors. Iran tests these missiles. Iran proliferates these missiles. Multiple American directors of national intelligence have said that Iran's ballistic missile arsenal is the region's largest. They've also assessed that if Iran was ever going to use a nuclear weapon, this would most likely be the delivery vehicle. And the failure of the JCPOA nuclear deal to permanently deal with Iran's nuclear program, as well as to incorporate this most likely delivery vehicle, is a damning indictment as to why it is a bad deal and why the Trump administration, followed by the international community, should really work to get a much more bigger, broader, and better deal. In the region, this is a threat that we've known about Iran ever since the Islamic Revolution, since 1979. Iran has sought to export its revolution, sometimes from top down, working with state-level allies, and oftentimes from bottom up, co-opting or creating proxies throughout the region that basically erode the authority of central governments across the Middle East. Iran sends men, money, and munitions to various conflict zones. This is one way they get a foot in the door, if you will, to the multiple hotspots in the Middle East. And Iran is looking to kind of create order out of the chaos in the region so that it can have its narrow regime, factional, regional, ideological interests become paramount. And with Iran's desire to kind of project power westward, Iran is looking to solidify this thing called a land bridge, where there's a continuous piece of territory from Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon, so that there's another vector that Iran can use to have its proxies press Israel, as well as for Iran to move men freely across this area. Third, and I think most important, is Iran's role at home. Many Iranians are dissatisfied with the way the Islamic Republic is governing things. In many ways, some of their protests since December 2017 have been a referendum on Iran's foreign security policy. You've had several Iranian officials talk about the importance of Syria and the importance of Iran's westward power projection. These are people who really couldn't give a damn about how Iran is governed at home, most unfortunately. And we're in a precarious situation where the regime is decidedly anti-Western, decidedly anti-American, decidedly anti-Zionist, decidedly anti-Israel, and that's not necessarily where the people are. And I'd venture to guess that if you straw poll most Iranians, they'd be much more pro-Western. And in fact, it's often assessed that they are the most pro-Western population in the Middle East. And it's a fundamental tragedy as to what has happened to that country and what has happened to the name Iran since 1979.